Hi, this is Oliver from Blendtuts.com, and this time we're going to make a simple introduction to cycles so you can use cycles in your works. Probably you already use it, but maybe you learn something new. Well, it's just quite simple. We are going to see the basics on how to use cycles, how to set it up, and how to make a render, how to use materials. We're going to see a little of how to create a simple material using nodes, and how to use the real-time preview and depth of field, and well, quite simple things. So first I would like to start this tutorial by talking a little about the differences between the Blender's internal render, the standard one, and cycles. So you can have an idea of what the differences are and how to work with them. So first, to start, the main difference is that cycles is realistic. We could call it like that. It's a realistic rendering, while Blender internal is not. It's just some kind of a simulation of light. In cycles, we have indirect lighting, we have global lighting, we have bounces, we have a lot of stuff that real light does, because cycles and its materials are based in physical circumstances and how the real light works. Like real light is a ray of light that bounces into surfaces, and it carries some parts of that colors into the next bounce. So we have some kind of yes, indirect lighting is called in 3D and in other things. So this is one of the most important things. This is quite easy to achieve a realistic result. Also, the materials are not like ray tracing, or no, we have like basic materials like diffuse, glass, glossy. They are called like what they are supposed to simulate. Then cycles is a progressive render and unbiased, which means that we are not seeing our image being rendered in blocks. We see it progressive, like it starts rendering the complete scene, the complete image at once, but with lots of noise, and then it starts to clean all the noise in all the image at the same time, not by parts of the image. So that allows us to see a faster feedback of what we are doing with the lighting and all that stuff. And also this helps because we can use it. This is one of the main features of cycles, and what makes it very usable and very fast when we are working with it, which is the real-time preview, which is not real-time actually, but it's almost real time, and it's awesome because we can use a preview of the render while we are working into the view, into the 3D view. So we can rotate the camera, we can move lights, move objects, change material parameters, and while we are changing them, we are having real-time feedback of it in our screen, which is awesome. We are going to see it later. And this makes the entire process of lighting and all that stuff very fast. What happens is that it depends a lot on your hardware, like always when we talk about rendering. And this time cycles uses GPU rendering, which means that if you have a very good graphics card, you can achieve great results very fast, really fast. But if you have a really powerful computer, even in CPU, you will find that it's quite fast, actually. So enough talking for now, and let's start with the real introduction. I have created this scene here, which is pretty simple, but it will help us to understand things about cycles. Like, we are going to apply materials to these Blendtuts logos, we are going to change the lighting, and we are going to apply textures to the floor and use the nodes to configure that material. So just a simple scene, nothing fancy, but for you to understand how it works. So first of all, let's see how to set up cycles. So to start using cycles, we need to go here. Okay, it's Blender render, as you can see by default, and here we can select our rendering engine, like Cycles Rendering. You saw that this changed a little bit. This is because Cycles doesn't use the same exact materials system that Blender renders does. So it's going to change. The system about materials will change also. So I'm going to show you interesting stuff. First, I'm going to set it up because I will tell you later why. So here we have in the render panel, we have the normal, the usual settings like the size of the image and all that. But here we have to select between GPU and CPU. Okay, even we have options to use these experimental features that well, I recommend to use the supported ones, which are already tried by people. And if you have GPU, I recommend it because it used to be faster than CPU, at least if you have a good graphics card. So everything is like this, and this is a very important menu. We'll go back to it later. Now, if you want to select which GPU do you want to use, you just need to open the Blender user preferences with Ctrl-Alt and U and go to System, and here you can select it. Okay, the reason why I'm showing you this is that by default it's taking my 2 cores of my graphics card, but I just wanted to use one because right now I have a limitation problem of the computer, and if I turn on the 2 of them 100% rendering all the time, in 10 minutes my computer turns off. So I'm going to use just one. If you use an ATI graphics card, probably you need to use this OpenCL, but I never tried it. Okay, I always work with CUDA and NVIDIA graphics cards, so this is what I know. Okay, we turn this off, and now here in the integrator we are going to see what this is. First, we are going to activate here the real-time preview, which is activated by here in the rendering method of the viewport, and just select rendered. And there we go. We are watching the real-time preview. As you can see, we are going to work now on the lighting and all that stuff so you can see it better. In the integrator, we select the amount of samples and to limitate the bounces of the light and all that stuff if you want a faster render or whatever. But I usually let it by default or use the full global illumination. Okay, if you use direct light, you will have no caustics and only no bounces. It will be faster, but it won't be so realistic. But well, this one is good. Here we set a limit for the samples in rendering, because in preview, which is this one in the viewport, here it's telling us the samples that it's doing. Each sample is like a pass through all the image, cleaning the noise. So the more samples, the more clear and the more sharpened and clean is the image out of noise. And we need to set a limit in order to make the render stop at some given point, because for example, if we render only one image, we can set a very high number, like 100,000 of samples, so it's continuously rendering until the end of time, and you can just stop it when you are satisfied with the result. But if we want to render an animation, we need to set a limit in order to start rendering the next frame, because if it doesn't finish one frame, it can't start with the next one. So we need to fix a limit. But here in the preview, we can set it to 0, and it will be unlimited. Okay, so it will be rendering all the time while we are working. I recommend to use a limit, a reasonable limit, so it renders until it's more or less clear what we have in the scene, but to stop at some point. So if you are just moving your scene or watching what to do, or just moving some nodes here, it won't be delayed, because while rendering, it's very probably your computer will be slowed down. So for now I will let it like this, And the render, I'm going to set it, I'm going to let it like this also. We are going to change it later. And here the fill menu is also pretty important, because here we can set the exposure, the anti-aliasing or something like that, and here we set if the background of the image is transparent or not. Okay, this thing here, for example, there is no objects, no 3D objects there, so we can set it to be transparent, and here you have the result. Now it's transparent. Okay, we're going to let it be. And we now let's start with the lighting. Okay, so we can see this scene better. We're going to start by the world. Okay, the world is, as you know, the background color, but here it has also another another function, which is illuminate the whole scene. So we can go here, use nodes, and we have a color and a strength. So if you can see here, I will turn this to white, and you are seeing that this is being illuminated a lot. Now if we increase the strength, it will be even stronger, but as the light comes from every part of the scene, from all of the sides, the shadows are pretty smooth. Okay, this usually I only use it like fill light, so something a very little value, just to have a light in the background. You can see that we can select whatever color we want for the background, and that's it for now. Now we selected a light. Okay, the reason why I have these two windows is because in one of them we are watching the render preview, and in another one we can select objects and work there, because in the render preview we don't see the objects that we have selected, or any information about lights, cameras, or whatever, because they are not rendered. So with the light selected, we go to the light panel, and here we can select the type of light, and if we use the nodes, we have the same properties as the background, the world. So we can now change the color of this light. There you have it, like something red, let be like white. And here, I don't know if it's not implemented yet or finished or something, because we need to put really high values to have some effect with the light. So we are going to put like 1000, and here you see the effect of the light. You can see also the shadows that it casts, and you can see that here, if we move the shadow, you are watching in real time the shadows being changed also. So this is pretty nice for usually architectonical renders, probably, well, where you need to have a very good lighting. So here you can set up the lighting so it works like you expect in real time. So we are going to put it like here, and now I'm going to show you this value here. The size value allows you to create more sharp or how to say it, blurred shadows, more smooth shadows. So if we put the size at 0, you can see that they are very sharp and rigid shadows. But if we put it like 3, for example, they will be more smooth. And with 10, they are almost inexistent. Like you know, this is like if the light was bigger, so the light is coming from more directions. We're going to let it like 1, probably 3, and now we are going to start with materials. So also before starting with materials, I would like to show you another type of lights. Here is the sun, and the sun, as you can see, the values are different. So this is why I think that there is some kind of error yet, and this is like 5, maybe less, 1, 2, and the size will be 1. So what you have with this, let's put it in 0 so you can see it. This is a light simulating the sun, like well, just like in the Blender internals rendering. And here, what you have with this is that the light doesn't have a perspective, it's directional light. It's like the sun is so far away that we don't feel the perspective in the shadows. Okay, so we can just rotate it and all the shadows will be pointing the same direction exactly. So you can set it like this and then increase the size if you want to start smoothing the shadows. Here you are seeing the effect. Probably something like this would be cool. Also, we can change the color if you want, but let it be like white for now. Okay, now we can start already with materials. Materials here in Cycles are different from the Blender internals ones. So we create a new material and we are going to call it like logo. Well, this one at the end will be glass, so glass matte. Okay, so here we select the kind of material that we want. Here is the diffuse one, which is just color, a diffuse color. So let me show you. You can change the color and here you have the result. Let's put the camera view here. Okay, so here you have the color. It's just to set up a color, and here with the roughness you can have well, the roughness value. So it's it changed a little how the light affects it. If you see it, if it's in 0, it's like a bit more lighter because well, the surface is more plain, so the light reflects in a different way. And well, the roughness one, but in this diffuse the diffuse materials, it doesn't have so much effect at all. But we can try another types of materials. So we are going to just see the main ones. Okay, so glossy material is for metals, maybe because it's just a reflective material. It's like the diffuse, but it has also reflection. Okay, let me show you. There you have the reflections. Okay, and the cool thing about this is that you can also, with the roughness, here it has a lot of effect, the roughness, because it will blur the reflections in the, as you can see, it's being still reflective, but the reflections are blurred out. And you can increase it until the point at which is almost not reflecting, but it has still a little of reflection or specularity. Okay, so it's a nice material. Then you have the glass material. Okay, so this glass material is a realistic glass material. There you have it. And you have values like also the roughness to blur the transparency. Okay, here you can see the Blendtuts logo in the back through it, but if we increase the roughness, it will be blurred out. Okay, which is pretty useful for this kind of materials. But have in mind that increasing this value of roughness, the render will be longer. Okay, the rigid, like in 0 roughness, reflections and transparency are pretty fast to render, but if you blur them out, they are bigger render times. And here with the index of refraction, okay, IOR stands for index of refraction, you can just let me show you the effect. Okay, the effect of the refraction is like in these faces here. You can see that it distorts because it's not completely parallel to the surfaces behind it. So this distorts a little bit the image behind it. So with the index of refraction, what we do is to change how that surfaces behave. And if we put it at 1, it will be just transparent. Okay, as you can see, there is no effect there with the refraction. It's just transparent. But if we increase it, it will distort the light. Okay, so the more the thickness of this object, the more we will distort this image here. So we can even increase it. Okay, until when we want, it will effect on how the light is shown. You can see that here it's distorting a lot our object. Let's put it at a more reasonable value. Okay, here you're seeing that it affects more the reflection than the refraction and all that. So the standard 1.5 or 1.45, I find it very cool for glass. So we are going to leave it like that. Then more types of materials. We have the translucent material. What translucent material does is that it lets, it's like a diffuse color, but it's more like smooth. Okay, it lets pass a little of light through it. So this material, this type of material is very good for simulating things like wax, okay, so in candles and things like that. So you already know that. Now we have the transparent material, which is just a transparent material. It's not nothing fancy. Okay, this is for example for Windows glasses or something that we don't want to be with refractions and everything, so it's faster to render. And let's go to the next one, the velvet one. I actually don't know how to explain this one because it's a bit difficult to understand. I mean, it's like for simulating pearl or something like this. We have the color value and we have the sigma value, which make it like from black. It affects how the light applies to the material. I don't understand it so much, but well, it's another material. Emission material, I love this one. This is a material that emits light. So for the first time in Blender, we can create an object that it's an emitter of light. As you can see, it's illuminating the scene. Okay, and the more we increase the value, the more it illuminates. Okay, so this is nice because we can now, actually we are going to do it later, illuminate the scene with planes that emit light, like in the real studios is done. So for now, let's just here hold out material. Let us see. I don't know if it lets let us see the background image. I guess so, or if it well, actually not, because the background is like gray. So what I think is that it's like a mask or something that shows the object in black. Okay, and finally, mixed shader. This is a very useful one because we can combine two different shaders, like for example a diffuse one and a glossy one, to have different values of refraction over the material. So this is pretty nice, and we are going to use it later, but we are going to use it from the nodes. Okay, so let's let this as glass material. Let's put it on orange like Blendtuts, and okay, this is pretty good. Now let's put these ones in also like this. Well, just select a glossy material and increase a little bit the roughness, like 0.05, and okay, there we go. And now, if you don't know this, it's a little trick to apply the same material to a lot of objects at the same time. You need to select all the objects and finally the one that already has the material applied. So the one with the material applied, which is this one, will be the active object. So then we can press Ctrl L and we can link the materials. So now all the objects have the same material. But this is not changing any parameter in the scene, so you need to press pause and start again the render, so it has effect in the scene. Okay, or if not, you can just make another kind of change in the scene that restarts the render. So now we have some glossy materials. We have this one here, which is a glass, and now we are going to create. Let me reduce the power of this sun. Like something like this, and we are going to render using a plane. You can see that we can even work from this view, but it's probably not as comfortable as as working here. Okay, but for these simple things, it's useful. So we have this. All right. And now we apply a material which will be emission matte. Let's call this glossy matte, and here let's put it as emission. Increase the strength, and now you are watching the difference in the scene. Okay, we can change the lighting, something like this. Okay, more orange. And now with this, if you decrease the size, it will emit less light, and if you increase it, it will be more light in the scene. So let it be like this. Now let me just save this. Intro start English. Okay. And now also you can see here the caustics effects. Let me show you. Here behind the glass, you can see that if you let a little render, it produces light. Okay, these are also indirect lighting, but here there would be a lot of light from the glass because the glass lets the light goes through it. Here is a reflection of the light bouncing here in the logo and coming back to the floor, but you can see that here, as it's a solid material, doesn't let pass a lot of orange through it. This little orange that we have here is just an effect of the bouncings of the light through the scene, so we have a little orange in all the scene. But here you can see that we have even a slight effect of well, the refraction of the glass. So as you can see, it's very realistic and pretty fast. And well, let's go ahead and create a material for the floor. Let's save this again, and let's go select the floor, create a new material which is called floor matte. And now I'm going to show you how to apply textures to this material. Well, to any material actually. Okay, so we have color. We select this point here, and here we select image texture. We have a lot of things here like procedural textures, but we are going to use an image texture. So now is everything black because we don't have an image applied yet. So we go to open, and I have here these ones that I prepared to be tileable, so we can repeat them through the object without noting the seams. Okay, so here we have the effect of that texture, and I want it to be like, first of all, let's make sure that this texture is applied in the UV space of the object. So we go here in vector and we select UV. Okay, so we press tab, we select everything, and in this case what it happens is that we have this square where the object is, the UVs are stored in, but we can increase it, and this part will repeat the texture. Okay, so what happens if we have a tileable texture that repeats what is inside this square is that we are not watching the seams. So when we exit from the edit mode, we can see that it's applied. While we are in the edit mode, these changes are not applied. Let me show you better. Okay, we can be changing this model, and it won't be visible here because it only shows changes in the object mode. Okay, so we need to go back to the object mode to have that changes applied. Here you have them, but let's just disable that because it's quite awful. Okay, so now we have this texture, and what we want to do now is to apply a little bump to this floor. Okay, so how to do it? I'm going to do it from the nodes. Even you can do it from here. I will do it from the nodes so you can see a little how it works. So let's open here node editor, and we already have the material here. Okay, make sure that you are in the material tab, object, not world, okay, because the world we can change it from here, and these are the nodes from the world. If you press here, you can select the material that you want to edit in the nodes. Now we are in the floor material, which is the one that we want to change. And now let's just create a little bump map. So I'm going first to explain you what these things are. So here first we start by this texture coordinate node, which defines the coordinate that the texture is applying. In this case is UVs, as we selected in the menu. Okay, everything that we change in the menu is reflected here in the node system, so we can go here in the node system and change things more accurately. Okay, so this is pointing here. Here we have the image texture that we just applied. This image texture is outputting a color image that is input in this diffuse shader, and this diffuse shader is applied to the surface of the material output. Okay, so I hope that more or less you understand this process. So if we want to apply a bump, we are going to create it and join it here into the displacement part of the material. We are not going to use the volume because actually it's pretty advanced, and even I didn't try it yet, so I don't know how to explain it to you. So let's go here. We're going to duplicate this because we need the same exact thing here. And here we need to select a different image. Okay, I have here this one that is exactly the same image, but is with more more contrast. So we have more white and black colors to make the displacement work. So if we input this here in the displacement, you're going to see that we already have some bump, but we need to control that amount of bump. So how to do it? We go here, we press Shift A to add another node, and here from converter we are going to select math. We input it here, and instead of add we are going to select power. This will take this image color from here, it will pass it through this node and multiply it multiply it to go to the displacement channel with the value that we want. Here we have the value, so we can increase it or decrease it as we need. Here you can see that the amount of bump is increasing or decreasing. Here you have it. Okay, so let's put something very subtle. And see that we can increase it as long as all of we want. Okay, something like that. It's actually not very much, but just for you to see how it's done. Okay, then you can put your own values. Okay, next thing that I want to do is to make this well, here you can see the caustics now better. What we want to do now is to apply some reflection to this material. So we are going to use the mix node that I told you before. So let's put this here. Let's duplicate this. Well, actually duplicate this one because we are going to use the image with more contrast. And here we are going to use actually a shader, a glossy shader. Let's input the image color here. There it is. And here, instead of applying it here you can see that now we have a reflective material, which is actually pretty cool. I didn't know this. Okay, tutorial finished. no, okay, let's show you how to use the mix material. And now here is my
Avast virus
database updated of my antivirus. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so we have this completely reflective material. You can appreciate here the bump very well. Okay, but we want to make this more subtle. This reflection effect, we want to make it more subtle. So to do it, I'm going to use a shader and mix shader. Put it here. Actually, this one will be the last one, and here we will have the first one. Here you can see that the reflection has decreased. This is because we have two different materials coming here, and in this mix shader we have the default of 0.5, which means that we are in the middle of this material and this shader and this shader. So we have half of the reflection and half of the diffuse. If we go to 0, we have only the diffuse, and if we want to 1, we have only the reflection. So the good thing about this is that we can play with the amount of reflection that we have in the scene. So probably something like this, very subtle, is okay. And actually, I would like to disable the displacement to see something. Okay, what I wanted to show you is that the black parts of the image, okay, here this image that we are loading into the glossy shader, what it's doing is to, let's clear the roughness. In the black parts we have no reflection. Okay, this is what this image does to the glossy, because we could only choose a glossy and choose here a color, and you can see that it's reflecting all the image. But if we input a black and white image, the darkest points won't be reflective. Okay, so this is somehow like a mask for the reflections in the ground. Okay, this is, I wanted to show you this. Here we can select the roughness, put something pretty strong, and now here let's put a subtle value. Let's see the whole image. Okay, and even I don't almost like this image. I would like to change a lot of things on it. I think that for showing you how it works is almost is enough. So now we are going to just set up some things like the depth of field effect and a little of compositing to make this image more like we like it. So let's go to probably input the displacement again, the noise. So here we have some little bump in the image, and I would like to go to the world and select a little cold color, like something blue, just to make a little contrast in the shadows, to put them in a bluish color. Okay, so I like this better. Alright, so now let's go to the depth of field effect. I always left the depth of field effect to the end of the render because sorry, because in the render the depth of field effect takes more time to render, and if we are changing materials and we have to compute the depth of field effect, it will take more time to us to have a feedback of the things that we really need to have. Okay, so I prefer to select all the materials and all the stuff in the scene, and finally just go ahead and put the depth of field effect before the final render, okay, or the compositing. So what we need to do is to know how the object in which we need to focus is called. So is this one, I'm going to focus in this this first object here in the middle, and this object is called Blendtuts logo. Okay, so we can Ctrl+C to copy it. We select the camera, we go to the camera panel, and here we have, well, the usual configurations, and here at the end we have the depth of field panel. So let's go to focus, and here we can just select the Blendtuts logo from the list if we know how it's called, or just Ctrl+B to paste it. If we select an object, it will be automatically the point of focus of the camera. Okay, if we put the camera farther or closer or whatever, it will always take that point as the pivot point of this object. The origin will be the focused area of the image, always. But if we want to have a distance like okay, I want to focus at 2.5 meters from the camera, you can set that distance here, and when you move the camera, that distance will be always the same distance. So the point of focus will be following the camera. Okay, so depending on what you want, this is nice. But in this case, I want to focus the Blendtuts logo, so I just select it, and I don't need to be, you know, like changing the distance to find the correct place or whatever. Or you can also select here an empty, so the empty is not rendered, and you can move the empty to focus the area that you want at the given time. Okay, so once we have the selected object, we just increase or decrease the aperture, and I'm going to show you just putting a very high value like 5. You can see that it's everything blurred out. We have focused this part, which is the distance that we are going to focus, but we want to reduce it a lot. Okay, so the more we reduce it, you can see that the depth of field is not so big, and I actually don't want it to be very visible, just to give these front logos more importance than to the background. Okay, so we are done here. Now I think I'm going to decrease a little this color so everything is a little darker and we can see better the shadows, and probably change the position of this light. Something like this. Get it farther, rotate a little, and I'm going to decrease a little the reflection of the floor. It's still pretty big. Okay, now is lower. Okay, so I think we are done with this. So what I'm going to do is to just make sure that we set up this. If we render it now with only 10 passes, you will see what happens. Okay, let's pause this one. Let's launch the render, and this is what happens. Okay, it already finished, and we still have a lot of noise. This is because the number of samples that we have right now are 10, which are very, very low. So instead of that, we are going to put like 100,000 of samples. Let's launch it. And now you see that it will be almost all our live rendering. Well, not actually, it's 100,000. If it keeps this speed, it can reach it in a few hours, or probably, yes, a few hours. So we just need to wait until we have the number of samples that we want. Okay, when we see that this noise has disappeared and whatever, as you can see here, the depth of field takes more time to clean. And once we have a clear image and a clean image and we are happy with it, we just can press escape and let the render like that. And actually, what I like to do in these cases is that, how to say it, when I find the point on which an image is completed, the render, if you want to render an animation, you probably prefer to know that point before, so you just render a few frames over the animation to make sure, because depending on the scene and where the camera is focusing or whatever, it can take more or less time. So probably you want to find an average in which all the frames in the scene have its correct sample number for having the image clean, and then you set that as a limit for the renders. So all the frames of the sequence will be rendered to that number of samples, until it passes to the next frame. Okay, so now I will just wait a few minutes. I will cut the recording for now. I will wait a few minutes, and then we are going to make a little compositing for this image. So see you now. Okay, here I am again, and you can see that this is not finished yet, but it's more than enough for making the compositing. So let's go here, open the composite nodes, take use nodes, use it as a backdrop, so we can apply here a viewer node, Control, Shift, and click on a node to see that node connected to the view, and that is what we are going to see in the backdrop. Okay, and now let's just apply a color correction, RGB curves, for example. Okay, and we can start playing with this around. Give it a little contrast, decrease probably a little of red. Well, I actually like a little more red, like Blendtuts. Increasing this, we are more yellowish, and decreasing blue, we are more orangey. So we are reddish, a little more blue. Okay, here you can just play around until you find the point that you like. Okay, now it's pretty dark. We just have contrast. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this one. We could add a vignette and things like that, but I think that would be for another tutorial about compositing. This is very simple, just to color correct some parts of the scene. And now we are just going to take the final render. Make sure that you connect this node to the compositor, the composite node, sorry, because this composite node is what is going to be rendered at the end of the chain. But now we have one thing to have in mind, and is that the composite will only apply, the compositing nodes will only apply on the image if we reach the end of the render, and that only happens if we put here a feasible a feasible limit. So 100,000 is probably not. So we are going to set it at like 5,000 and let it render over time. Let's put it. Let's press render. And what will be happening is that when it reach 5,000 samples, it will apply the composite nodes, and we will have our finished image. Well, actually, I'm not going to wait for 5,000 samples, so let's put like 200 so you can see it, how it works, and then I will let it render after I finish the tutorial. Okay, so here's the end of this tutorial. I hope you learned something. If you didn't use cycles, I'm sure that you have seen some interesting things. It's very useful. I have already used it in real projects, and it didn't crash, it didn't fail me. Well, here you can see that it already applied the compositing nodes. Okay, so now yes, I'm going to just put here 5,000 and let it render until I come back to home, because now I'm going to leave. So yes, I hope you learned something. I'm glad to be back. This is actually the second time I record this tutorial, because the first time I recorded it, I was recording and I was almost done with the recording in Spanish and English. Just a few minutes of the end of the English part was missing, but as it took too long to me, when I was going to end, I realized that some things in the interface already changed, so the tutorial was not useful anymore. So I had to restart, but now I have a little more time, just a little, so I will be slow by posting updates, but I'm always here. And as I always tell you, I'm very glad to receive emails from you, and well, I can't physically respond, answer them all. I try, but I can't, and at least I read them all. Be sure that I read them all, and I appreciate them a lot. So they are like energy for me. So keep going, that emails, and what I can, I will answer it. Okay. Now I just want to tell you that I'm preparing some interesting projects from Blendtuts. The next one will be quite interesting. I think it's a quite interesting tutorial about something that I've never seen in the internet, and it will be a complete project, probably including camera tracking and all that. It will be for free because it's not so big, but it will be pretty interesting. The thing is that I have almost the method created, but I need to polish some things to make it usable for you and to know how to explain it to you. So I hope that you will be there to see it. And well, this is everything. I will be here posting updates, I mean, only from time to time, because I'm pretty busy at my full-time job, but I will try to keep them going. So thanks for being there, thanks for watching, and happy blending.